It's whatever, baby. It's whatever, baby. It's whatever.
Welcome back to another great day and episode of Whatever by Hectic by yours truly, me, Hectic. I am joined by someone who I want to say was definitely on season 2. I want to say maybe was on season 1 as well. Good friend of mine. We talk, it seems like almost every day, whether it's social media or whatever the case may be. Uh, man, this dude wears so many different hats. It's almost hard to introduce him correctly. He's a music producer, author, comic book extraordinaire, a man of many hats and talents. I will go ahead and bring him in, and we're just going to get this thing started. I have so many questions to ask him, so many things to go over. So we're going to get it popping. Are you there?
What's up?
All right. So I'm here with Angel. It always happens. I don't know why. It just does. All right. All right. There's so much to talk about in such a little time.
Okay.
So let's start with the newest thing first, and then we'll move our way backwards.
All right, cool.
You recently went and saw Sinners.
Today.
So what was okay? First of all, what rated out of 10, right?
Yep.
And then 2, what was your overall impression about the movie?
Cool. 9 out of 10. And
What did you say? How much?
9 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Cinematography top notch. Michael B. Jordan doing 2 roles and making them distinct was amazing to me.
With
The
different
soundtrack,
personalities.
correct, with different personalities. That I don't know how he did that.
Yeah.
The music, the soundtrack, like every piece of song played at the right time.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know what the movie was about, it will catch you off guard. And I love movies that do that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I knew when I went to go see it like week 2 because I didn't want any spoilers. I feel like you have a 2-week window before it's
Spoilers,
free
yep.
game to be spoiled, right?
Yeah.
So I saw it week 2. Is there anything you did not like about the movie?
It took a long time to show the vampires. That's it.
I
That's
felt
it.
the same exact way. And then
Yeah.
when they introduced it, it was just, it almost didn't fit.
Right.
It was like, oh, vampires, have at it. You know what I mean?
It's very
I
comparable
like
to From Dusk Till Dawn, but I think it's
everyone
better
said that.
From Dusk Till Dawn. I honestly do think it's better in every way.
So I also love the fact of it keeping it true to the vampire mythology.
Yep.
Because sometimes when people write their own scripts, they tend to give their own spin on that.
Correct.
And I felt like keeping it to the core of what we all kind of know about vampires was epic.
Absolutely.
They didn't glitter. They didn't do none of that stupid shit.
Yeah.
It was what it was.
The not being able to them needing an invitation goes all the way back to Buffy and Angel and all that. I remember it from back then, and I'm glad they kept those rules.
No, 100%. What I didn't like from the movie was when he started singing and it went into the whole spiritual, tribal. Not that it went into that. It was almost like the soundtrack to what he was doing didn't blend as cohesively as it could have.
I see what you
And
mean. Yeah.
2, why did the Asian people pop up? Like, what was the significance of like that threw me so far off. Like, if it went through the African lineage, I got you. But when they popped up, I was like,
yeah,
okay, now I'm thinking about it. Because they did have the friends, they were Asian, so maybe that's whatever. That's what threw me for a loop. I was just like, what's going on here?
I love the scene where the little girl went to go get her mom and she crossed the street and the street was completely different.
Same,
I was like,
same,
holy shit, bro.
same.
Like a whole new world. It was just
So
across the
for
street.
so for me, I definitely looked at it as a as cinematography, right?
Mhm.
I genius is an understatement as
Yeah.
far as how things were shot, the methods of, and you know how they did the Michael B thing, right?
No, I don't know how they did that.
So Michael B would shoot one scene in the morning and then the other in the afternoon. But he had, they had stunt doubles replaced, so he had something to work off of.
Okay, that's what's up.
So that was dope. So even when in the opening scene where the one brother's rolling up the cigarette and then hand it, lights it, boom, that was just that
That was
was
amazing. Yeah.
so phenomenal because you had to cut it at the right and you had to kind of do it the same way both times.
Yep. Yep. I agree. So I got to tie in that. I don't know if too many people made the connection, but I'm a huge Jet Li fan. And
Okay.
the older dude that was in there was in Jet Li's The One, which is a movie about twins as well.
I love that one.
Yep.
I love that movie
Yep.
to death. So now I did get pissed off because sorry people, spoiler alert. Like I said, if you haven't watched it by now, my bad.
Yep.
Um, I didn't like how the old dude was like, they would have to go through me before they get to you. And then
Right.
he went out kind of pussy. Like you slit your
Yeah.
own wrist, and then that was so dumb to me.
Yeah. He's just buying time and it really didn't do anything at the end of the day.
Oh,
So,
and the Asian woman.
yes,
I felt her. I understand, but when she's the reason most of them die.
that's true. Yep. 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 She's the one that invited them all in. So,
Yeah. So that was if there was a better plan prior to inviting them in, I get it. We gotta get this over with.
right,
Or
right,
for real, they could have just waited till
right. Got
dawn came
the
up
dawn. Yep.
and rode out. But
That's it.
I did think like I was mad at her, but yet she still went out kind of gangster. I
Yeah.
did like how but she only took one person that was her husband.
I know. Yep. They both
Like
burned alive.
like if she would have took a few others out and then
That'd have been
him,
better. Right.
right,
So
100%.
I,
But
I
no,
heard I heard after the fact that this is the same director that did Black Panther, and I still think that's one of
yes.
the best
So
Marvel
Ryan
movies.
Coogler, did Fruitsville. He did Black Panther, both of those. He did Creed, I think the first two, because Michael B. Jordan directed the third one.
The third one.
Um Mike Ryan Coogler. Okay, so there was a comparison between Ryan Coogler and what's the dude that did Us? His name's eluding me right now.
Oh, Jordan Peele?
Jordan Peele.
Yep.
To me, this is my opinion. Jordan Peele is just a black M. Night Shyamalan.
I get what you mean. Yep.
The only movie that I was like, cool, I saw what you did there, that was genius, was the first one.
Get out.
Where Get Out.
Get out. Yep.
Get Out was brilliantly done. It was, but you ruined one of my favorite horror movies of all time, which is Candyman.
Oh
You
yeah.
made it conscience, which you still could have added that element into it, right? I'm not
Yep.
against that. But the way you did it, I was like, I don't want to be woke for this. Like I want Candyman to kind of be in his bag and do his thing, right?
Yep.
Um,
And it's just like
and you
the comparison with M. Night Shyamalan, because The Sixth Sense was like his best thing, and then his quality started to dip. Like you could tell what was going to happen in his movies after a while after that.
did you so I don't call him by his correct name because I refuse to, because to me he is a shitty director, right? No, okay. No, I'll take it back. He's not a shitty director, he's a shitty writer.
Writer. Okay. The stories are bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
Old was the only one that I was like, okay, I kind of fucks with this more. And you know what's weird? As much as I talk shit about him, I watch every last one of his movies.
Yeah, because you never know which one will be a hit, which one will be a sleeper hit. Yep.
I know which one will be a sleeper hit. None of them will be a sleeper
Yeah.
hit.
That's right.
The Village, bro, The Village was garbage.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You tell me these people think werewolves are in this like, and you're next to a fucking road.
Yeah.
The whole time you're next to a road,
Yep.
bro.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I gave Sinners though. I gave Sinners an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I gave it an 8 out of 10 because the hype. I don't feel it lived up to the hype that other people were giving it.
Hmm.
I felt it was a brilliant movie, cinematographically written, directed.
Yep.
I just cannot give it a solid 9 or a 10 out of
Okay.
10. Like I just could not.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Great movie. Will I watch it again? Absolutely,
I
because
would
I'm
too.
probably okay. And I also love the Irish mythology because most
Yeah.
people didn't catch that either. Like that was a whole thing,
On its
you
own. Yep.
know. And for most people that are not historian buffs, blacks and Irish and Asians were slaves, immigrants, or looked down upon at one time.
Correct. Yep. That's true.
So I understood all that correlation and stuff like that. So, like I said, I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I
That's
gave it
what's.
an 8 out of 10.
I'm just.
It
I'm
was
glad I watched it. I know it took a while, but I'm so glad I watched it.
no, yeah, because I still know people that have it, and I'm like, why? And it's because they don't believe the hype of the movie, and I get that. It is a thing where people hype stuff up so much that when you do actually finally watch it, you're like, it kind of lowers what you would probably initially score it at.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what it was for me. I did like the part though, Mary, and I don't know why it's my favorite. I do know why it's my favorite part, and I'll tell you. When she was kind of like trying to get, smoke, no stats
Yeah.
to kind of
Yep.
fuck her. And
Yep.
he was like, nah, you belong to someone else. And she was like, you rob banks, you rob this, but you scared to rob this pussy.
That was funny.
I would be like, bet we gotta go handle it now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
She's calling
We
you
gotta
out.
go handle it. And I like it because I like women like that. Like I like women that's just they know what they want and they kind of go after it. So
That's
I
what's up.
fucks with that. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So for a lot of you that don't know, if you look at my wall and you look at his wall, this guy is hella into comics.
Yep.
He's actually most of what's on my wall I have gotten from him, and I thank you so much for that
No problem.
because it's dope, right?
Yep. No problem.
What got you into comics and DC or Marvel?
Mostly DC. Mostly DC.
I've
I'm
noticed
heavy.
that about you.
Yep. I'm heavy with Marvel when it comes to the X-Men because of my childhood. I grew up with the X-Men. I still love them. I still love like
Mhm.
the challenges they have to struggle being ridiculed as mutants. But honestly, it just took me reading some of the stories that I went with the acclaim, just like how you said about Sinners, how Sinners is like well renowned and everyone is critically acclaimed and people avoid it just because of that. I didn't want to avoid the critically acclaimed books, and so I went
Mhm.
after those. And once I started reading those, I got hooked, and that's all it took. So stories like Watchmen, Batman Hush, um, Kingdom Come, um, there's a whole bunch of stories. I mean, I've been reading a series like I got into Black Canary
Mhm.
recently, the best of the best, and it's either the artwork or the story that's gonna hook you. Something's gonna hook you, and that's what's been hooking me pretty much.
I'm a Marvel person over DC.
Yep. I know.
I I feel movie wise right now
Yep.
the MCU is killing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
Animation wise, DC all day
All day. Yes.
because DC does not care about being kids friendly.
Right.
And I think that's one thing that Marvel, especially the MCU now, needs to kind of break away from
Yeah.
and just give and and not for nothing because they just saw it with Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Exactly. Yeah. It was rated R.
Right. And it shot through the theaters like it was crazy.
Yep.
So if they keep holding with kitty gloves, the MCU will eventually fade.
Yeah. For sure.
DC's problem is they keep having fucking reboots.
I know. Yes. I agree. And we're so tired of origin stories. They got to stop with the origin stories. We all know what happens to Batman. We all know what happens to Superman. Like, stop. Just get into it. Just get right into it.
Right. Now, if you got a Martian Manhunter, everyone doesn't know his origin story.
Right. That's
If you
true.
go after the obscure superheroes that most people don't know their story, fine, bet.
Yep.
I understand you introducing because you're introducing them to a whole new audience. So
Correct.
I get it.
Yep.
But yeah, that's my beef. I will never go. I will go to the theaters to watch a Marvel movie after the Batman. I will never go again to watch a DC movie.
Oh, okay.
You're
Wow.
done getting my money.
Damn. But you love the Penguin show though, right?
100%.
And he's gonna be in the second one. And he's supposed to be a big role in the second one. So that's my thing. Is
Their
this?
TV shows,
Yep.
great. I don't know who's doing what over in DC.
Right.
DC can't get it the fuck together for some reason when it
Right.
comes to live action. I don't. Okay, Teen Titan,
Yeah.
first two seasons, fire. Third season, and I before people come for me, I am not saying anything is wrong with this. When they introduced Tim Drake and made him gay, I was like, I know the comic books, cool.
Yep.
The setup was for no reason.
Yeah. Just for the
Like,
sake of it.
just for the sake of it. And it was like, cool, but what's the relevance of this to the story? It had no bearing on the story. It
Yeah.
had no, it didn't add anything to the story. It was like, okay, now you're just doing something.
Right, right. So I gravitate more to DC villains than I do DC heroes for sure. Part of the show, a Penguin, but if you read the comics as well, the comics are way more interesting on the villain side than they are on the hero side because you know what's going to happen at the end. You know Batman's going
Mm-hmm.
to come and save the day. You know Superman's going to come and save the day. But I urge everyone to look up the One Bad Days by DC. They're single issue comics, and you can get Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, Clayface, Ra's al Ghul, and I can't remember the others, Two-Face. But those comics are about like the villains in their own world trying to avoid Batman. They're just trying to do their own shit, and it always ends. Each issue ends with Batman just bothering them. They're like, "Get the hell out of my way! I had nothing. You had nothing to do with this kind of thing." And of course, he's there because you're committing a crime, but um, it, it goes to show that you really don't need the heroes in the DC story to make it. And the Penguin show proved that by not even having Batman in a single episode. It ended up being one of the best shows out there.
No, Colin Farrell.
Yeah, amazing
I
job.
mean, I mean, bravo.
For real.
It got to the point where we know some of these bigger actors and actresses, and that we just see them as that, right? If we see
Right.
Denzel, we be like, oh, that's Denzel Washington.
Yep.
We don't give a fuck what his character is. Oh, that's
Correct.
Denzel, right?
Yep.
Colin Farrell portrayed the Penguin so fucking well that most people didn't even know it was Colin Farrell.
Yeah. Well. Yep. Yep.
Like, even me watching the show, knowing who he was, I didn't visually see him.
Yeah. Me either. I saw what they wanted me to see, which was a short, stubby old man. I couldn't see through the makeup at all.
And that's not even when people wear makeup, I still be like, oh, that's so and so, right? Colin did such a phenomenal. Colin and
So,
the
Sophia, I forgot her character
yes,
name. Yes.
bro. I mean, the whole show from start to finish
Yep.
was just. I mean, it was.
Yeah,
I
and
see why people loved it so much.
yeah, and that's what DC should do more because their villains have more volumes than what you see them as. And if they
Mm-hmm.
explore that, I feel like if they explore that more, they'll continue to find success. They don't have to go and make sure that Batman's in everything. And there's other series, there's other ways of tackling things. I just finished reading All-Star Superman, which I heard the new Superman movie is gonna ball heavily fun, which I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like. I read All-Star Superman, I finished it yesterday. I really didn't like the story that well. I hope it grabs some elements from it, but there's some
Mm-hmm.
other elements that I'm like, they put this in the movie. I'm gonna tone out kind of thing because it's just cookie cutter Superman stuff, and that's not what I want to see. As
That's
we
why I
age, we
told
want to see
you.
different things.
That's why I told you from the second trailer.
Yeah,
I love that she was grilling. I love that Lois was grilling him, not
yeah,
as Clark Kent, but as Superman. Right?
correct. Yep.
I feel that if James Gunn do exactly what we all hope he does, right? Because no one think anyone wants DC to fail as
Correct.
far as
Correct.
live action.
Right.
We need a cohesive story that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
That's almost like because Marvel has spoiled it. Marvel, besides Miss Marvel, everything connects to one another.
Yep. That's
If
true.
DC did the same thing, I don't think Marvel would be like, "Oh, you copying our style." They might be like, "Finally, you got it correct."
Yep, that's true. Gotham isn't that big of a city, so I mean, they teased it with the end of the Penguin when Sophia was in jail and she got a letter from her sister, Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman. So they're trying to tie everybody into each other. The more they do that, I agree with you. It's gonna get better.
Yeah,
But I will say
because
another thing, man behind me, Joker. Like everybody's gonna keep bringing up Heath Ledger no matter what, like to the end of time. But some people got to understand that there's so many different interpretations. There's a version of Joker that eats people's faces and put their face on top of
mm-hmm,
it. We've never seen that version of him on film. So we don't, can't, Heath Ledger's not around anymore, so we can't say he would have portrayed that version of the Joker well. So people just got to be open-minded and say, okay, there's going to be other Jokers and stuff. Yes, the second movie bombed because of all the singing. I didn't like that shit either, trust me.
oh
But the first one
oh,
was
I
okay.
didn't watch it. Did
You
you?
didn't watch
I
it?
didn't watch it
I did. I did. Totally did. Yep. Too much singing. That's what killed it. Yep.
because I love the first one
Yeah, everybody did.
where even they teased for a moment, brief moment, that him and Batman were brothers.
Hmm.
And I was like, shit, it makes fucking sense now, right?
Yeah.
It
Yep.
makes sense. And then they shied away from it. I think they should have leaned into that a little bit more
I do too.
because that would have gave us that element that it could have because comic books you have your stands that be like, no, it has to be this way, and we could only deal with it this way
Right.
until you show them it's this way. Case in point, You have old Sam over here as Cap, and we're like, this can't be black. Like,
I know, it's crazy.
but
People
they
harp on the
happen.
stupidest things. It happened, yes. They harp on the
So,
stupid things.
so I do think, especially when we really boil it down to, we're talking about fictional characters.
Correct. Yep.
We're not talking about real people.
Yep.
So you could interpret your story to be whatever it is and tell a
Exactly.
whole new story.
Exactly. Yep. And Marvel has the potential to be as dark as DC, and proof of that is Logan. I still think Logan's one of the best Marvel movies ever.
Bro, I remember watching Logan. It was me, my homeboy. I remember going to, and that's why I said DC. I mean, Marvel's got plenty of my money in the theater,
Mm-hmm.
plenty,
Plenty.
right? Because it's certifiable ish, not as lately, but cool, right?
Yep.
Man, when Professor X died, you heard sniffles.
Yep. I definitely did. Yep. Yep. For sure.
You heard when Logan died. You
That's
heard
yeah.
sniffles,
That's when the big waterworks came out, for sure.
right? Because we're like, first of all, in our eyes, Logan is immortal. As I look at it,
Yep. He's like over 100 years old. He can fast heal. His bones and metal, like, what can kill him?
but now with the new story, we find out why he's not as immortal as we once thought was because of the animanium.
Yep.
It's
It was
poisoning
cool.
them.
Yep. 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 That was awesome. Yep.
You know,
And so
even when Magneto ripped it out of him, and yet it gave a shock to his system, but he was technically healthier because of
yeah,
that.
that's true. That's a good point. Yep. There's so many stories of Logan and Sabretooth, like their history, that they never explored in the films.
Like
Because
at one point they teased that they were brothers.
correct. Correct. They always go with Logan and Jean when he's dated so many people in a comic, like Rogue, he's dated Psylocke, he's dated the
Mystique.
Japanese girl. Yep, Mystique. There's so many girls he's dated, and they
Oh,
just go right
Logan.
back to Jean. That's all they do.
I'm not saying Logan's a hoe. He just got friendly dick.
That's what it is. Yeah,
You know,
hilarious.
like he's Logan Mystique. Mystique's
She could
been
be
with
anybody.
yeah. You want a threesome? Hey, turn to somebody else real quick. Like, you
There
know
you
what I
go.
mean? Like, no, 100%. Okay. So, how do you think, as far as comics go, they relate to today? Because I know when Stan Lee first started Marvel,
Mhm.
a lot of what he was drawing back then was relative to the times that we were in, whether it's wartime, whether it's the Cold War. I mean, that's how Captain came. You know what I mean? Whether it's in World War III, they always implemented some kind of social narrative to it. So that's why even when the fans be like, "Oh, Disney's trying to be woke," and it's like Marvel's always been woke. You just never
Always.
paid attention.
Yep. I don't think people remember the 9/11 issue. Did you have that one? The Spider-Man
No.
9/11 issue? Yeah, there
Mm-mm.
was I bought it. I remember buying it in the newsstands. It was right after 9/11. They did a Spider-Man issue where the cover was just black and nobody knew what the story was about till you opened it and you found out that he was busy doing something else when the towers went down. And he didn't get there until after the towers fell and the firefighters and police were there saving people's lives. And the whole comic was just saying like we are not the heroes. The heroes are the people that's in real life actually doing this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
I often wonder, like, because I need a new story of a new time. Because as I've been going through a rabbit hole of lately, even when you get new artists been kind of going back and digging up the crates,
Yep.
dusting those stories off, re-imaging them, and then kind of putting them out again.
Absolutely, you're
Um,
right. They're doing that with Hush 2 right now. That's Hush. It's called Hush 2. Hush came out in 2003, and now just now they want to do the sequel to it because they're trying to mimic the success of the first one.
and I feel like I like that, but yet we live in a creative space, me and you, right?
Yep.
And I kind of miss where people like, I mean, look at Frank Miller, right?
Yeah.
Frank Miller, I didn't even realize how much on both sides of the spectrum, DC and Marvel, he's touched.
Yeah. He's contributed a lot. Yep.
And he's always took the cookie cutter. We're all happy. We all get saved. We all love one another and turned them dark, turned them graphic, turned them sinister. And if you talk to a lot of comic enthusiasts, when you mention Frank Miller's name,
Yeah.
it's significant.
It is. A lot of people are inspired by him, big time. Yep. You talking about more DC needs to do this, Marvel needs to do this. In my opinion, there's one hero that needs to come back. I don't know why it's taking so long. Where the hell is Spawn?
They're in production, or they're in talks.
They've been in production for years, and I'm like, the audience needs a Spawn because
So they supposedly, I just saw it a couple weeks ago. Don't quote me. It could be AI. It's so hard to figure out what's
I
real and what's
know,
not nowadays.
like,
But supposedly Jamie Foxx is supposed to play
right.
Spawn.
He's Al Simmons. He's Spawn. Yep.
Yeah. I've saw what appeared to be on set images. I like Michael J. White, right? Most people
Oh yeah, he
hated
was
that
great.
Spawn.
Yep, he was
Not
great.
looking back at hindsight, John Leguizamo. Oh my, yo,
Amazing as a clown. Yep.
yeah.
The
Um,
fact that he was walking on his knees to do that whole scene was
right.
crazy.
Um, so yes, with the technology we have now,
Oh, that would be amazing.
100%. But they don't need to tell a continuance. I think they need to talk from. That's one reason Origin's not really bad if you have to retell the story.
That's true. It's been a long time since we had a Spawn film. So, and I see so many people in the comments of YouTube comments about when people discovered the 1996 series. I watched it growing up, but there's people that discovered it after the fact and was like, "Where was this on my life? Like this was so dark. They were touching themes that nobody else would touch." And I feel like that's why we need Spawn. I just hope it comes out in our lifetime.
Supposing they're in the works of it. Hopefully, no, I fucks with it too. Even while he's battling with his role and still trying to do some type of good, it you can see the tug of war. Also, let's spin it right back to Sinners. The twins weren't bad, right?
Right,
They were just trying to do something better, and that's why they did the juke joint, right?
right.
Even when Smoke talked to the cousin and was like, if you touch a guitar again after this, I'll kill you myself. Because
Mhm.
he saw something better in him and he wanted him to aspire to be more.
Right. Yep.
So when he said it, most people would be like, oh, you trying to stifle his dream. But I understood because we often do that to each other where you don't need to move like this, kind of move over here. And, this will be a better
You gotta
fit
learn
for
some
you.
lesson. Yep, yep.
However, you also have to allow people to live their lives and do what they need to do to be who they are. So it's
Correct.
a double-edged sword. And with
Right.
that, we're going to take a little break. We're going to hear words from our sponsors and we're going to come right back. And today's sponsor is Motivate Image. Go to Motivate Image on Instagram at Motivate Image. That's MOTIVA Image on Instagram, also TikTok, or you can find everything that they have going on at Linktree / motivate image. They predominantly do boudoir. However, they also do silhouette, bodyscape, fashion. Go ahead, go to Linktree / motivate image and book with them today. It has me be like, yo, the fuck? Like, what don't you do? This man also produces music, which I had no idea of. Yep. And he's an author. I actually have one of his books here that he's gifted me with, signed and all that. What makes you such the creative person that you are? Because normally a creative person could do a couple things, right? They could, right. Hey, maybe I could paint, but I could do this over here, or maybe I could do photography, but then I could do something over here. Bro, you do so many different things in the creative space. Like, how?
Well, first off, thank you for those kind words. I always looked up to people that were like Renaissance men. You ever seen that movie by Danny DeVito? It came out like in the 90s. It was called Renaissance Man. And ever since I saw that movie, I learned about the term, and then I've always gravitated to people. If I wanted to give an example of like a modern day Renaissance man, the first person I think about is Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, who
100%.
was a writer, actor, stand-up comedian. Then he did music, and now he's directing his shows and all that kind of stuff. I always think that if you stick with one thing, you have a tendency to burn yourself out, and that you still have that creative juices. So you just need to shift it somewhere else. I used to burn myself out a lot when I did music. Even though I'm thankful that my music made it onto a movie back in 2012, and I was getting like royalties from it. That's as high as my music went, and I felt like it was time to move.
No. Hold up. First of all, you're not going to do that. You're not going to shit on, because I know people that's been doing music most of their lives and are not getting royalty checks or any of that shit. So we're not going to diminish that at all. So retract that statement and go again.
So I was getting royalty checks for a Lifetime movie. 2012, it's called Dark Desire. It's a bad movie, first off. But I can hear the spots where they play my music in. But my name isn't in the credits because of the way the contract worked. It went to Harry Manfredini, and he was the one who paid me out because there were genres of music that he couldn't compose that I had to. That's where I stepped in. That's where my stuff stepped in. But my first creative outlet from that was actually writing. Like I wrote a book when I turned 20, and I've recently rewrote it, and that's the subject of what we were talking about. This book right here is called Despite Wisdom. I had recently republished it, and it's a book about aphorisms. Aphorisms are like quotes that everyone loves to share, but they never want to give credit to. For example, when people say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that's actually by the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, but people don't give him the credit for that. People don't want to read the book where he wrote that at because people just don't want to do the legwork kind of thing. And another person that used to write aphorisms a lot was Bruce Lee. So what got me into writing was I remember being in high school and my guidance counselor was like, you got to pick something to major in college for. And the first things out of my mouth was, I'm going to major in whatever Bruce Lee majored in. That's what I said. I didn't even know what it was at the time because at the time I was doing martial arts. I was doing Goju karate, and I just learned about Bruce Lee and everything, and I was so fascinated by him. And when I found out he went to college for philosophy and he got a master's degree in philosophy, I was just like, I'm going to go that path because I think he's great. So I'm going to do everything that he was doing, and actually became more enamored with his writing. To this day, I'm more of a fan of Bruce Lee's writing than his movies. I know a lot of people will be like, that's sacrilege, whatever the case may be. But his movies are old, okay, 1970s, and the sound effects and all that shit. I feel like they're cheesy and all that kind of stuff. But his writing, what he actually wrote down, is still timeless, in my opinion. So he was a really big inspiration for my first book.
No, it said that you have over 600 aphorisms in that book.
I do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you didn't think I was going to do my little research, huh? Yeah.
Yep.
So how did you compose it? Because I know it's one thing to just put all this stuff into a book, say I wrote it, I'm the author. blah,
Right.
blah, blah. But just like music, you have to compose your writing style. You have to make it flow as well. So,
Correct.
what was your thought process into doing that? And how, first of all, let's back it up. How long did it take you to write this book?
Uh, I would say the first version, this is version 3 of this book. The first version
Mm-hmm.
took me a little under a year. The second version took about 2 years. This version took probably a few months because it was mostly revisions and it was more of centering what I wanted to talk about. I feel like as you age, you write better. I just think that's just true for everybody. And that's the reason why I rewrote it. Because the last time I wrote it was 20 years ago. So I was like, if I go back and touch this, I know I'm just going to improve it. And that's what made me decide to go back to it. Now, my writing style changes after this one. And when we get into this one, Despite Paradise, it's more of a
Mm-hmm.
play. And
That was my
why?
next one. Honestly,
Yeah.
that's my next one.
Yes.
That's, yeah.
So what made me want to write this is I read a play called No Exit. It's a very famous play by the philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, and it's about basically the premise is hell is other people, and it's about a guy who gets stuck in a room with two women, and he has no eyelids, so he can't close his eyes, and he can't cover his ears, so he's just sitting there listening
Sounds
to.
like hell.
That's exactly.
Sounds like pure hell.
Yep.
Yes.
So in that same spirit, I wanted to write something, but about the opposite, and that's pretty much what this book is about. And so from reading his book, my writing style changed into so somewhat to more similar to what he writes. And that's how I came up with this one. This one was written in 2017, and it was just republished recently.
So, why did you pick the women
Yep.
to be his torturer?
Why he picked it? Because he wanted to show someone who just like couldn't find a benefit from anything, right? Because he's in a room with two women, they couldn't have sex with them. So he just all he could do is listen to them talk. And because they were different ages of him, he was older, they were younger. He was never gonna ever relate to them. One was rich, one was poor. So he couldn't relate to the rich one because he wasn't rich himself. She was complaining about missing
Rich
out on
people
Potter
shit.
bags and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, that doesn't matter now. We're dead, and you're still worrying about bullshit like that. And that's how the book ended. So mine's is different. Mine's is more three women are stuck,
Yeah,
and like
no, three women, desire, all that you implement like more than I feel like he did.
yeah.
Um, because you added another woman, which fuck. Um, so tell me the difference between the three women though. Like, what is the significance between what's the significance with three? Because to go from two to three, there has to be a significance for that.
Right,
And
right.
then why, like, what is different from every woman? That's
Yeah.
the.
Okay. They're all different ages and they're all different professions and all different backgrounds. And my main character is a doctor who finds herself in a situation where she can't heal anyone anymore because everyone's gone. Everyone's moved on to the next life. So she's finding herself in despair because she can't practice what she loves to do the most. So she's like, this
Mm-mm.
place is already hell to me because I can't save no one's life. No one's ever going to get sick here. No one's ever going to die. I'm already not liking this place. Then you have the middle ground where you have someone with a bunch of regret that they can never go back and fix, and they're stuck with whatever choices they made. And then you have the youngest who's just oblivious to the situation she finds herself in. But ultimately, she ends up being the wisest one out of all of them because they dismiss her, dismiss her, dismiss her. But when it comes to like the bigger picture, sometimes the Occam's razor, the simplest explanation, is the best. And that's what she
Okay.
recommends.
And now you have another one,
Yep,
despite desire.
correct. This one. This one was actually written in December and was completed in April of this year, so a few months. This was not
Mhm.
supposed to be written until I retired. That's what this is. This is actually my retirement work, which is why I got off of Twitter because I wanted to 100% focus on this. I don't know what told me to get into this one now, but I just felt compelled. And I was like, if I don't do it now, when am I going to do it? And retirement, just I talk about retirement, but I'm still in it, and you know how it is.
Bro, we
Line of
both,
work.
we both. I keep saying I'm semi-retired now.
Yeah, yeah. And the way our line of work works is this: if the money's there, you're gonna go and do it, right? If the money's available, you're just gonna take it.
I
So,
have a love-hate for it because like you have these stupid points. I'm not even gonna say low point. It's just
right,
stupid. It don't make sense. Like it I showed you one today that just made no sense, right?
right, yep,
Then you get those others that you're like, wow, you are a pleasure to work with. You're a pleasure to be around.
yep.
You have a good head on your shoulder. Then you're like back and pause juices and you going and you're happy again. It's just
Correct.
that's why I know
Yeah, yep.
as much as I love women, three of them where I can't close my eyes or turn off my audible senses, I couldn't do it. I know I can't. I
Right.
And if they are of the younger generation,
It's harder to connect with them. Way harder to connect and relate.
because even like music wise, I was just saying this, even when we were young, we were still listening to two, three generations before us music.
Correct.
This generation is just listening to their music.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so they'd be like, oh, listen to this new song. And we'd be like, that's not new. That's they actually stole that from here
Yep.
and just dusted it off and called it theirs. Like,
That's true. Yep.
it's not new. But
Yep.
anyways, we're going on tangent. So this I would say has more desires mixed with ethics and a sprinkle of some other stuff. Go ahead and tell
Yes.
us what the despite desires really
Yes.
means to you on that.
Yeah. So this is essentially my 20-year visitation with my favorite philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche, but as a sex worker. And so my main character is works at a brothel. He actually visited brothels when he was in his 20s. And when he was 24, he lived in Basel, and he was the youngest professor ever to be appointed as a
Mm,
professor in Basel. But he also visited brothels, and the people recognize. There's a rumor that he died of syphilis because of the way he died in his brain. Um, he went crazy after a while. He was in a mental institution. He had all the symptoms of syphilis, so people think he got that from a brothel. So what this book is that it's a conversation with a brothel worker, which is essentially my experience in the industry. So it's just me talking to him and my 20 years of reading him and everything that I know of him mixed with my actual experience of being in this industry for about 8 years. That's what this is
okay.
about.
Okay. So now you say that,
Yep.
and we understand how the industry is now.
Yep.
How was that conversation with him with how the industry is now, or
Good
was
question.
it how you seen it when you first got into it?
Right. It's a
Because
mixture
there's
of both.
different stages. Okay.
Yeah, it's a mixture of both because my main character is like a veteran that's been in the industry for a while, but she comes across other girls that's brand new and don't know how to deal with stuff. But there's certain themes that we still have to deal with. There's plenty of times where we're on set and we're not vibing with the person. We just got to get through shit. So we become like, this is who you're gonna get for today, and that's it, just to get through this video. As soon as you leave, I get to be myself because we're not vibing. We don't get along. You're from this side of the world. I'm from this side of the world. This little bit of interaction that we had is just not working out. But I need to get the clip. I need to get this. I need to get the work done. So I'm gonna power through. And in order to do that, I give you a version of myself that isn't really me, or it's just a stripped down, toned down version of myself. This is all you're gonna get. So to me, I feel like that's the same. Like the girls back then were probably doing the same thing to some of the guys that showed up at the brothels. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we do that to protect ourselves. We do that to make sure that like you, the person only knows minimum. Like if you're upset with someone you don't like, you don't want them with a whole bunch of information going to the next set because they're gonna talk a whole bunch of crap about you, and then they have facts to back it up. This person's from this place, and that's how you know I'm actually talking about this person. No, if I know I'm not vibing, I'm not even gonna give you my origin story. Like we're just here to work, and that's it.
No, I feel you, right? Because I'm a very private person
Yep.
outside the industry. There's only a few people, you're included, that I don't mind saying, hey, oh, why are you coming to, oh, because blah, 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 right?
Right. Right.
I find that the newer talent have no qualms asking you your personal business that pertains to outside the industry. And it's weird to me.
So weird. Yep. I agree. That's so weird.
Like, case in point, I'm coming down your way in a couple days,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
I had one, I was like, yeah, she reached out to me to work with. I'm like, cool. Yeah, yeah. And she was like, well, why are you coming down here? And I was like,
That is none of your business.
I wanted to say that 100%
Oh
but I
my
was just like, personal reasons? You know what I mean? Like, I wholeheartedly want to say, mind your motherfucking
fucking
business.
business. Yes.
Don't worry what I got going on down here. Just know I'm gonna be in the area.
That's all
If
that
you want to
matters.
work, cool. If you don't, cool.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
you are an addition. You're not the main reason I'm coming down there. And know
Exactly.
that.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I don't I get I know a lot of people now are going with this how I feel depends on who I want to shoot with, how we vibe depends on how I want to
Mm,
shoot with you or not.
mm.
What I think I can get out of you determines to me, and maybe for you, I can't speak for you.
Right.
I don't give a fuck about none of that shit.
Yeah. I don't either. I don't either.
Oh, you want to work? Cool. You seem like okay, and you have a catalog of stuff that you shot because I do my research on anybody before I shoot. I actually
That's
had a
good.
girl recently. She was like, "Oh, I just heard of your name." I'm like, because she was on my other page. She was on my dry bone page. I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, oh, I hope it was good things. And she's like, oh yeah, I just heard that you were asking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, because I check references.
Okay,
If
good. Good.
you work with some people I know,
Right.
I'm gonna reach out to those people and be like, yo, how are you?
Yeah.
How is this talent? How woo?
Yep.
There's so many people now in this industry that don't even do that. They
I
just go
know.
based off of face value, and then when they get fucked over, it's a problem.
Yep. Yep. I do. I still do it to this day. I did it like last week with Johnny Blaster, where the girl that I was worked with on Tuesday, he was going to see her on Wednesday. So me and him went out to dinner, and I was like, "This is how she is," just to give you an idea. He was like, "Okay, cool," and it eases him. Like, is she, how is she, kind of thing. If I give him positive vibes about her, then his guard is gonna be relaxed now when he meets her the next day, and they're gonna have even more fun. So
Right.
people should do that. I don't know why they don't do that.
I think it's laziness.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is a job, so you mean I have to do what I need to do on a job? That's why I got in this industry. I got in this industry to, fuck as many bitches or dudes as I possibly want, pause, and have fun and make money. What?
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
Especially, I was just talking to you about with the times, with the economic times, with the war on sex work as a whole, with so
Yep.
many things happening, people are going to really find themselves in a tight spot because a lot of these people have no other job skills, no other life skills
Yep.
whatsoever but this. And I'm not knocking people that only do this. I'm just saying they're not set up properly to face whatever obstacles there is
Correct.
to come.
Yep.
Let,
Correct.
let's be real. AI is killing everything right now,
I know. It's
right?
only getting worse. Yep.
Adult content is next.
Yep.
Soon producers are going to find a way to be able to use AI on a regular basis at a cheap cost that, oh, I don't even need the female. Oh, your rate is how much? I'm good. Have a great day. And they're going to use AI and sell the content the same fucking way.
Yep. Yep.
Versus people, and that's the problem I feel like with a lot of people in the adult industry. They look at the here and now. They don't do a forecast. They don't look
Right.
at
Oh
what
yeah, a lot of people don't.
potential for the future. So they're not prepared. They're ill prepared. And then when
Yep.
shit happens, it's like, please come and save me. Why no one told me this was happening? I
Yep.
could have set my no.
Nope.
I get it, even for me, doing photography and videography. There's shit AI could do to a photo I can't do.
Yep. Because
So
it's
guess
grabbing so
what?
many styles.
I have to then make myself still relevant and still a seeked out thing because I can do something AI can't do.
Right. Yep. There's also
You
the
know what I
people
mean?
element that you can bring in the connections and model meets you, then you tell me about them and then they meet my friends and then the money just keeps going and going and going and going.
Right.
Yep.
Um, and unfortunately, there's a lot of people, I won't even say gender wise, there's a lot of people that feel they are bigger and better than the machine that is here, the institution that is here, and that if it's not for them, there is no institution, and then there is no machine, and it's false.
Right. Yeah, no. Nobody's the center of it all. That's not possible at all.
No. Um, we will see what happens. I'm not hoping for anyone's downfall. However, a lot of people just not moving smart with this whole thing, and I can't feel sorry for them because they're not prepared.
Yeah. Um, what you said about forecasting, so many people just don't. They have, I don't know what about the industry that makes them think what they currently see and what they're currently doing is what the same amount of work they're gonna always have. That's never the case.
Right. So,
Yeah.
oh, in your experience, you are very evolved in the content and stuff that you do make. What made you that way? Like, what made you say, you know what, I need to be diverse and I need to realize the pocket or the lanes or the niches that I need to work in to be sought after?
Yeah. Um, Basically, I hear so much stories of like male talent's hard to find. That's the one I know we both hear all the time. And then you simply just have to ask why. And then a bunch of people will give you horror stories of the things that male talent has done. Just don't do those things. Don't stalk the girls. Don't assume things about them. Don't assume they want to see you again just because you guys filmed. Like they got shit to do. Um, Consistency and variety. I always bring a bunch of outfits. Like I can't tell you how many girls have told me I'm like the only guy that gives them an wardrobe choice. I bust out my suitcase and go, "What do you want me to wear?" kind of thing. And what that does is it jumps their creative juices. They go, "Oh my God, I didn't even know you were going to do this. Now I'm going to change it and we're going to do this instead."
I, as someone who reaches out to a lot of women, I love to talk about the scene prior, right? To
Yep.
just to see, there's a lot of women that their communication when it comes to that is garbage.
Mm, that's bad.
And it's not even like we're trying to have a sex, session. I'm saying, hey, these are the things, these are elements that I need you to be able to do. And they're almost like, I don't care about none of that shit that you're talking about. how much am I making? That's my overall, right?
And when they come
So
with that
then,
focus, they end up doing a bad job and they wonder why they don't come back. It's as simple as that.
right, because give me 15 minutes. I can run it down to you in 15 minutes and you can go
Yeah.
about your life.
Yeah.
But if you're just, well, I don't have time, I'm busy, I'm da da da. Cool. I'll pay you, possibly. But like you said, you ain't coming back, especially if the scene didn't go well or
Yeah,
if the scene don't sell well.
exactly. Especially if it don't sell well. Yep. And it,
Now,
and it, it
go
goes
ahead.
both with beginners and veterans. They both tend to do this. I've had the same experience with someone who just started a month into it. The same experience with someone who's been doing it for 10 years, where they just get lazy and they go, I don't need to know XYZ. I got this. And then they end up doing something and everybody's like, cut, we don't do that bullshit here. Like, let's roll that back. You should have asked questions before you thought about doing something like that here, because we don't do that here. That's not what this content is about. Oh, but
I've
we
been on
did that
set.
in LA. That's in LA. We're not doing that here. Simple as
I've
that.
been on set where people are asking hard limits, yes and no's, do's and don'ts,
Yes, that
and
kind
they'd
of
be like,
stuff.
"Oh, I'm about whatever." No, no, no. I need you to know what you like and don't like.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing this? No, we're not going, because a lot of times that sets not only the co-star but also the producers in some shit that they asked. Case in point, I had a scene that asked the girl, "Hey, what can we do? What can't we do?" She was like, "You could do whatever to me." I was like, "Bet." So I face fucked her. She
Hmm.
threw up, and then I was like, "Eat it, lick it off the ground." Right? She did it.
Mm.
Cool. We moved on. We get in disagreement about something unrelated to that. Right? She spins the block and was like, "And you made me eat throw up." And I was like, "You could have said no.
Right. Yep.
You could have said no." And I would be like, "Okay," and moved on. But you said you would do whatever. I proved that. And now you have a problem. And that's the problem with a lot of these allegations. I mean, whether it's the industry or civilian life, as we're seeing right now,
Yep.
people are asking you what's your boundaries, what's your limits, what's your this. And you're like, let's have fun, roll the dice. And
Yeah.
people are doing whatever. And then now, 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you're living with regret,
Regret.
remorse, whatever. And now it's a problem.
Yep. Yep. Because they didn't think that too. Um, I can say that, like, I don't have videos out there that I regret doing what I was doing in the videos. I
Mm-hmm.
regret making someone money because they ended up being a shitty person. That's as far as it go. But if you see me doing something in the video or stuff, I don't regret doing that kind of stuff because I knew ahead of time and I told everybody ahead of time, this is what I'm cool with, this is what I won't do, and I just stick with it. So that's why it's important to have that conversation.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna ask two main questions and we're gonna get the fuck up on our head.
Okay.
How do you balance your artistic vision with um your audience expectation of your content?
Okay. Um, they it's it's hard to predict what works and what doesn't work because I've seen so many people think that, oh, because you wore this or you were this type of attitude or because we were in this setting, because we were in this room, we don't get feedback. That's actually what I talk about in here. We don't get feedback. It's not like like the Sinners movie, like we talked about. We both wish they would have had the vampires out earlier and stuff. We can say that to the director, to the actor. We can say put it out there on IMDb. But when it comes to the stuff that we do, we never hear what we need to work on more, what you should have did better. People aren't constructive about it because people aren't open about what they're watching and they don't want to admit that they're watching it. So
Mhm.
it's difficult. It's difficult to decipher what's working and what isn't working. But for me, I feel like if it's a story that I create that I've never done before, then there's a chance that it could succeed. That's just the way my mind works. If I'm doubling back to what I did before and we're rehashing something and it worked really well, or was it because of it was the actress, or was it because of what I was doing in there? To be honest, that's the part that's stressful about this. And I don't envy producers because of that. Because you're like, man, my last video with this girl was on top of the world, but then this one didn't, and we did the exact same thing. And then you don't want to tell the girl that, right? Because you don't want her to think it's about her. And it probably had nothing to do with her. It's just we don't get feedback. So it's hard for us to know what do we need to keep doing.
That's why I look at sales. Honestly, that's the only
Yep.
way I can predict. Like, there's one model in that area, but bro, she she made me what I paid her plus more, and I'm like, we need to work again. Hey, let's
Yep.
work again. And I cannot, for the sense of me, get her. And whatever. Yeah, I'm not saying she has to work with me again. I'm just saying that it made sense, right?
Yeah. Correct.
But I go based off of sales. But there's also part of me sometimes too that don't even go based off of sales. I go based off of how if the scene was hot, if the chemistry was there, if
Chemistry, yeah.
every, maybe we needed to tweak something else to make it fly off the shelf. And
Right.
that's where I go into my creative bag as the producer and be like, all right, I need to make this grander than grand thing so we could go ahead and promote this because this person has that it factor. This person has
Yes.
that, they just need that nudge, and then cool, we're there, right?
Yep. Yep.
Then there's other girls that
We'll never
doesn't
get
matter
it.
how well it sells.
Yep.
I'm good off of you. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Yeah, the ones that there's no chemistry, there's no reason to come back for. And the ones that you have chemistry with are rare. It's right time, right place kind of thing. So I
All
feel like
right,
that's the
last,
same for everything.
yeah, no, 100%. Last question. What challenges have you faced in maintaining authenticity in across the whole wide spectrum, which is Angel? Like, you
Okay.
have so many different things going on. How do you keep being your authentic self? One, two, keeping that authenticity when you're making content or when you're writing a book or when you're producing a track. Like, how do you do it?
Um, it is an impossible juggling act because the context to where like I can talk about my books is never on set. At least that's the way I feel, and that's part of what I wrote on there. It's like, when am I going to have the time to bring up some of the topics that I talk about on set? And I just don't, because we're there to work and we get paid and we're out the door. So that's out the window. But then, when my vanilla friends then know about the books and stuff, there's no way I can get into this to what we do in the industry because they don't understand the nuances behind it, and they don't understand that I'm at the level where it's just a job. Like I might be talking about something that she did or what she looked like or what happened, and it might come off like a shock to them, but to me, it's just I see that all the time. I see that every day. So it's just a scene that we got through or we couldn't get through. So the juggling act to me has definitely been a struggle, and it still is a struggle. It probably always will be a struggle because of that, because there's too many different facets, and it's just not enough time on set. And then when you have time with your friends, they can't relate to set life.
Yeah, in one side you're probably a god to some, on the other side, ill. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yep.
uh,
It's the
and
Clark Kent effect.
which I understand, right? 100%,
Yep.
I understand because when I'm me, when I'm my regular self, I move a certain way, right?
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
when I'm hectic and I'm at a shoot house or I'm at a convention or I'm, living my alter ego life, I moved it. Now, am I not the same person? No, I am. I just do stuff different,
Yeah,
right? That's why I try to keep my personal and my professional business as much as I can separate.
separated. Yeah, I agree. I think most people do that. At least most of the people that I converse with and have been doing it for as long as we have and longer, they do that as well. They keep it separate. And
It
that's like the
keeps you
best advice you can
it,
get.
it keeps a nice balance when I'm doing these podcasts, when I'm out hectic all day, when I'm
Yeah,
by myself and you know doing other normal shit. This is who I am, you
correct.
know.
Yeah.
And I try not to have the two intertwined, even relationship wise. I tell them I'm not hectic with you. I am I am this. And
Correct.
treat
Yeah.
me as such.
Yep.
Once you cross those lines, not only are you confusing me, but you're confusing the situation as well. And it's
Bingo.
not it's not
Yeah.
healthy for us.
Correct. Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. You're absolutely right. Yep.
All right, Angel. It's a pleasure as always, for real, for
Same.
real.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead and tell them, hey, where they can get your books from,
Okay.
where they can find any other things that this is your time to shine. This is your moment to, A, make some money, first and foremost.
Cool.
Two, um, hey, tell them what projects you may have coming up or any of that stuff. So
Awesome.
go
All
ahead.
right. Thank you. Thank you for having me. You guys can get these three books. They all should be on Amazon right now. I also have the Avengers Infinity Saga and Philosophy, where I'm in the chapter. There's a Pokemon book that's coming out in September that I have a chapter in as well. And you can find me on Instagram as Despite Wisdom. I also have a YouTube channel of Despite Wisdom where you can get breakdowns of all three of these books on there. What I have next, to be honest, is it baffles me because I honestly don't know what I would be capable of next. I do feel like I have one more book in me. I just don't know. I don't have the title in my head. I just don't know how to start writing or when to start writing it. So expect one more at least from me.
Okay. Um, I will try to put their links as I wrap this whole thing up with a bow. I will try to make sure to put the links in the description on YouTube as well, so that can go ahead and help you out.
Thank you.
Like I said, with season three, I'm trying to go in different directions. Yeah, I might still have adult entertainers on, but I want to get besides the fucking sucking and all that, I want to
Yeah.
know who the person is and want to get to that thought process, right? I
Yep.
understand the entertainment or content creation era is more about clickbaits and rage baiting and this bait and that bait.
Right.
I want to show a different side that, listen, although we might be on this side, sometimes we also have these other things as well going on. And so never get it twisted and never get it fucked up that we can
Yes.
only be doing this.
Oh yeah, for
Because
sure. Yep.
no, that's not happening. Um,
Correct.
like I said, y'all could go check out everything, whatever by Hectic on the HD Nation Network on YouTube.
Yep.
It's whatever by Hectic and Beyond Pixel, where I just talk about a whole bunch of other stuff. It's very entertaining on there as well because it might be from my trips, my favorite places to be, my favorite places to eat, what technology is coming that I like, what new camera stuff is that I like. All that
Cool.
is going to be on Beyond Pixel. Make sure to go hit like, share, subscribe, turn on that notification button, do all that great stuff. Let's drive up these views. Let's make something happen that's beyond just that, right?
For sure.
And with that, I'm gonna say keep those loyal that are loyal to you, and treat those kind that treat you kind as well. And just don't do anything that you just don't want to do. And with that, we are out.